And we are live. Hello, it's Motivation Monday. I am Lisa Barwise, and every week I go live here to help you with things that you need to understand about body shape change, specifically if you're a woman in your 40s or beyond. And we also cover trusted general facts on health, fitness, and strength training. So as people are joining on board, I will do my introduction. Today we're going to be talking about specifically lean over 50. Is it possible to be lean over 50? And, in terms of post-menopause, can you be lean after the menopause? And what things do you need to know you must know right now to achieve body shape change in your 40s? So as people are coming on board, I will do my introduction. You're most welcome. My name is Lisa Barwise, and I consider myself a wellness alchemist. That means that I'm the kick-ass catalyst in the transformation of women around the world, strong of mind, body, and character. I'm the creator of Warrior Goddess Kettlebell Training and the Warrior Goddess Body online programs, and I'm here today to talk to you specifically about lean after the menopause. Is it even possible? And what are the 4 things that you must know to achieve body shape change over 40 specifically? So you are most welcome. I'm so happy to see you all today. I'm just going to lift this camera up a teeny little bit because it's not working the best, but hey, that's the way that it is. I bought a new camera tripod and it tends to want to sync on me every time, and it drives me crazy, so bear with me a second. No, I've had to stick on like the biggest amount of sellotape on this thing to get it to actually sit, so bear with me a second. Yeah, it's not good when you buy, look, it's all over the place. When you buy this new tripod, and this is what happens as part of your Motivation Monday. There we go. Beautiful. Yeah, after all of that, didn't even really fix it. It's just gonna on Facebook. Hello, there we are. Oh my goodness, technology is not being our friend today, but that's just the way it is. So you're most welcome here. Thank you for being on board today. This is going to annoy me. I have to get a new tripod. I mean, this was only a couple of months old and it is literally driving me crazy. But I hope you've had a good weekend. I hope you've enjoyed it. I've been sharing lots of stuff on my Instagram about my lovely Sunday, and I'm going to be sharing out some of those recipes there too of what I was sharing throughout the week, so bear with me. That'll do. It'll do. It's fine. So what are we going to talk about today? So specifically I wanted to talk about the things that you need to know post 40, and specifically moving into menopause in terms of how to change your body shape and achieve a lean, strong and curvy body. Yeah, even in your 40s and 50s. So the biggest thing that I want to talk about here is hormones. Okay, who knew? Hormones is the biggest thing that I want to, but understanding that hormones can be either your superpower or your kryptonite when it comes to being lean in your 40s and your 50s. And the thing that tends to happen with women is that, in my experience of dealing with women and working in the health and wellness industry and with females for the last 15 years, is that women mostly have been on a diet for most of their life. In fact, they've been on a diet for decades and decades. And the impact that has on our hormones, on our metabolism, and specifically on our thyroid can really make a massive impact in how well you're going to maneuver through the menopause in terms of not just your overall health, but also the body shape as well. So normally what happens with women throughout the decades of their life previous to these big massive hormonal change and the sweep that's going on inside their body is that they have been under eating calories, or they have been under eating or binge eating in a binge cycle, as we like to describe it as, and I'm going to go into detail about what that is. But what that does is put the body's version of homeostasis in major disrupt. This puts a lot of stress on the body. It starts to really play havoc with your thyroid and other metabolic functions. And this means that when you come into your 40s and 50s, you come in a lesser optimal state to be able to not only navigate through that difficult time, but also to come out of it optimally and achieve the body shape that you want. Okay, so let's assume that that's the case. Let's assume that you have been on a diet for the last 3 decades, or you have chosen to be on a diet, off diet, maybe binge cycles, maybe you don't eat very much throughout the day and then you know, eat a lot in the evenings. Maybe you don't necessarily know what fuel and food you need to fuel your body, and what blesses your body, or you haven't been consistent with that, which is kind of the case. So how does this have an effect is that as you get older, the delicate balance of hormones becomes the biggest issue with regards to your body, and stress, which shows up in your hormones, is the biggest issue. Okay, so as we get older, we also have more responsibilities, and we also have more things that we need to look after, which impacts the amount of stress levels that we have. Women in their 40s and 50s, in my opinion, can be some of the most busy women, and they are working with a body or a vehicle that sometimes isn't optimally functioning, and that can also put a lot of stress on the body. So what tends to happen, what happens in menopause, quick summary, is that you are basically having a major dip in estrogen, and your progesterone, which is the other hormone that's to do with our female cycles specifically, it just rises and stays steady. So basically you become progesterone dominant, which any sort of dominance is bad, estrogen or progesterone dominance, but you just need to know what happens with it. But anytime a hormone takes over and becomes dominant for a long period of time, there will be massive changes that you need to kind of deal with in the body, okay? So what this looks like is, as estrogen falls, estrogen is your body shape change hormone. It is the hormone that gives us our shapes. It's what gives us our hips, gives us our bosoms, and keeps our waist narrow. It's also the hormone that helps us with fat burning specifically, and makes us less stress sensitive and more insulin resistant. Okay, so basically, as the estrogen comes down, we become more sensitive to estrogen related things. We also become more sensitive to there we go. Become more sensitive to stress. Okay, so this as the estrogen plummets and progesterone rises, it's progesterone that is the mood kind of killer. It's very much the mellowing out hormone. It's not the one that makes you want to do things. It's not the one that makes you feel like you have a lot of energy, and it makes you very sensitive to stress, and it also has difficulty with your insulin and how insulin reacts as well. So basically, in summary, as that estrogen is plummeting, you are less likely, or you will find it more difficult to burn fat, to have energy, and to burn fat in the places, or to have the shape that you want in your 40s and 50s. This is why women tend to get wider and wider. Progesterone and even some testosterone are more prominent during this time, okay? So that's the widening of the waist. So the middle becomes wider. We start to feel like we're taking on more of a masculine shape rather than the feminine shape with the curves, and therefore we just need to understand more about how to deal with these pesky little hormones. Okay, so and they can be pesky, they totally can. So what you need to know is you're way more stress sensitive, and you also need to how to deal with shedding the estrogen in a non-stressful way. So the key things to becoming lean post-menopause, and even during the menopause, is 3 tips I'm going to give you today. The first one is fiber. We're going to talk about fiber, the importance of fiber with helping your body deal with the estrogen levels. 2 is stress, understanding stress, how to use stress well, and how to use stress well, but also to avoid too much stress in the body. And exercise can be stress, so you need to know what exercise to do when. And then the third one that I want to give you the tip on is your carb tipping point. Carbohydrates, in terms of how they impact our insulin, is very important in our 40s and 50s. So those are the 3 tips I'm going to give you. Okay, how does that sound? So I see people are joining us on board also on Instagram. But do give us a comment below or throw us up an emoji if you think this is something that resonates with you. Also, if you think that this is something that somebody else needs to hear, a friend, a sister, a buddy, then go ahead and share it on out. I would most appreciate it. So let's talk about number 1 first, okay? The first one is about fiber, okay? Who knew this little thing called fiber was such an important aspect of what happens in your 40s and 50s? So when you are moving into menopause, in menopause, or moving out of menopause, you need to deal with this estrogen dip. Well, cascade, really. It's kind of just falling down there. And you need to help the body to deal with this and detox it. So if you don't have good gut health, if you don't have good fiber in your gut to help you with this, and you don't have a good elimination process, we know what we're talking about with our elimination process, don't we? I don't need to go into detail with that one. If you don't have a good elimination process, then you're going to end up being more toxic. You're going to carry more of a toxic load. You're not going to be able to get rid of these pesky hormones, and you're going to feel more sluggish and get more stressed. And then that chronic stress cycle is just going to lead you to constantly then want to eat more and not do all the good things. It's basically a vicious cycle of stress. So by consuming more fiber, and what I mean by fiber is not what they sell you on commercials in terms of cereals and bread, etc. I want you to consume more fibrous veggies. So how we suggest we do this as part of our community and part of the Warrior Goddess tribe is with our green prudie. Our green prudie is an amazing way for you to access all the fibers of all these lovely veggies and seeds and whole foods, but in a way that's really easy to consume and in terms of digestion, but also on the go because we're super busy women, okay? So our prudie, which is a protein smoothie, green one, or green goddess specifically, is a way for you to access the fiber that you need to help to build a really good digestive system. Adding in healthy fats and seeds like flax seeds and chia seeds also help that fiber and elimination process. And if we're going to go into it here, might as well, you need to also look after your gut health. So let's add a probiotic in there as well for you to take in your morning. It's a really good thing to have in the morning. If you're also having it with 30 grams of protein from a protein scoop, that's also going to help you to boost your metabolism, which is really important at this age. And the green prudie ticks all of those boxes. So fiber, probiotic, looks after your gut, alkalines your system. You can add really important greens in there like spirulina or coralina or wheatgrass, which are also really alkalining and really help your gut to be super strong. Okay? So fiber. In fact, I mean, if you actually look at the recommended intake, you need to double your recommended intake of fiber when you're in your 40s and 50s to help with that estrogen. So double. It's like 0.8 grams rather than 0.4 grams basically per serving. You need to double it, okay? So then the second thing I want to talk about is stress. So stress is one of the biggest issues, and generally why we tend to have that wideness, that swim ring, that extra belly fat is to do with stress. The cortisol hormone, which is impacted by your progesterone, which I'm going to talk about as well, it gathers around that area, and that's where it pools, so to speak, around your midsection, that swim ring. So if you're somebody who constantly has that area, it's generally to do with fat, sometimes to do with stress that's stored in those fat cells. It can also be to do with sugar and stress hang out there. In my experience, sugar and stress go hand in hand. Emotional eating as well. We tend to eat more sugary things, wine, carbohydrates, all of that, which are very sugary and high in sugar. And that kind of plays, they both are very similar in that respect. So what you need to focus on here is how to deal with stress. So a couple of different ways. The most important one in your 40s and 50s, actually, believe it or not, is walking can be really good. So just a nice gentle walk in nature. It's not supposed to be a power walk. It's supposed to be calming and reassuring walk in nature. Okay, so walking is a really good one. 30 minutes per day, keeping your body moving. All of that little small thermic movements are really good specifically, and it will help you to also burn some fat. And the other one is bathing or spas or steam rooms, etc. Sweating out the toxins, sweating out the estrogen buildup is a really, really important one. That's why we recommend Epsom salt baths as part of our tribe and part of our community, but also your spa days, ladies. I mean, welcome to me recommending to you regular spa days to help you too deal with that estrogen buildup and help that as the estrogen dominance is moving out and you becoming more more progesterone, you need to be able to deal with that. The other thing, and there's a lot of studies on this recently, is time spent with friends. Okay, so time spent with friends in so much as time spent with you having a glass of wine, not 7 glasses of wine, ladies, a glass of wine, chatting it out, being very social. There's a lot of studies about the socialization and spending time with your girlfriends or with other friends is really, really an important part to deal with the stress that's built up. And then the third part or fourth part in there that I want to talk about in terms of stress is exercise. Knowing what exercise to do and how much of it. It is essential post 40, between 40 and 70, that you do strength training, strength resistance trainings, training with weights, because not only are they going to look after your bones and your joints and help with bone density and help with you building your hips and your core areas, which become a lot weaker as we get older, that will also help you to sweat out the toxins. Also, the type of exercise you want to do helps you to harness the good stress for the body, but you don't want to overdo it or do too much of it. Cardio post 35 on its own, i.e. just going out for a run or just jumping on a bike, is not going to help you to, 1, change your body shape, or 2, deal with stress. In fact, it's going to add more stress into your body. Now, I did mention walking earlier, but I want to say that walking is in addition to doing a strength training program. This is why we teach kettlebell training at Warrior Goddess Kettlebell Training. This is why a lot of our ladies in their 40s and 50s are seeing massive changes in their body, because they're focusing on getting strong, on building lean muscle, which is so important. So, but how much exercise and how often to do that? 12 minutes of strength training exercise is all that you need. 12 minutes of high intensity training is all that you need. It's not hours in the gym, specifically as you get older, because the more that you do, the more stress it can be on the body. And ultimately, when your body is in stress, it actually stalls its fat loss, and it absolutely plays havoc with your hormones, basically. I'm just summarizing it, trying to keep it out of the science too much for you ladies. So what can you do then? So HIIT-based workout, high intensity interval training with a kettlebell or with body weight movements for 12 minutes, a couple of times a week. Strength training with kettlebells, which is really, really good for females because it's so good on our joints, building our core, building our booty, which protects our lower back. All of that can be done in 12 minutes or less. In fact, a lot of our online workouts start with just 4 minutes, 8 minutes, and we have time crunch and 1 bell workouts where you can just pick up a bell and go and do between 4 and 12 minutes to get, to be able to do that. So that's it. So the last one I want to talk about is your carb tipping point. So the carb tipping point is an important part because we become more sensitive to carbohydrates, to sugar specifically, and how our insulin spikes in relation to that. So when you hit 40, you do become more sensitive to carbs. Now, that's not saying you're allergic to carbs, like gluten sensitivities or wheat allergies, etc. Though in my understanding, most of us tend to have some sort of sensitivity to those wheat-based and gluten-based products. When you really look at it, in terms of they make you bloated, you can make you give foggy head, they don't keep you focused, these sorts of things. But it's more about the carb tipping point in terms of fat loss and in terms of energy. So what I tend to say for ladies is start to work out be a little bit like the Goldilocks, too much, too little, too hot, too cold. Try to figure out for you when is too much carbohydrates. In my experience, when we focus on 30 grams of protein at every meal and add in a good healthy dollop of healthy fats such as avocados or oils or nuts or seeds or oily fish, then focusing on that and then getting your carbohydrates from green leafy vegetables and the occasional starchy carb like sweet potatoes or some rice or some quinoa is sufficient. And maybe you kind of leave your carbohydrates for the end of the day, depending on what you're going to do and when you do your workouts. So if you're an early morning workout person, you could get your carbohydrates post-workout or at lunchtime and then have less carbohydrates in the evening. If you are somebody who works out in the evening, then you want your biggest meal to be after that so that those carbohydrates go directly to the muscles. But then you wouldn't need to eat as much carbohydrates in the middle of the day. That's how I tend to do things. I eat my carbohydrates in the morning as part of my prudie or protein porridge or protein oats, and then I tend to keep it very lean at lunchtime, maybe some soup, maybe some protein and veggies like a tofu stir fry and veggies, or an omelette with some veggies or salads or egg muffins or something like that, and then have my biggest dinner because I tend to exercise in the afternoon or early evening, and that's when you have your carbohydrates. So this is for you to work out what your carb tipping point is, for you to understand how carbs, proteins, and fats work in your body. And if all of this, at the end of this, you're like, Lisa, I don't really understand carbs, I don't really understand stress, I don't understand the workouts that you've talked about, this is what we cover as part of our 28-day beginners program, which is all about teaching you the benefits of carb cycling. We have meal plans in there, and we have workouts that you can do which start from just a 4-minute workout. But what I'm going to do is take it one step further today and give you a free training. So underneath this video, and I'm going to put it in my my link in my profile, ladies, is that the body shape change. So 4 things you must know to change your body shape over 40, okay? It's a free training video series. There's got the most amazing free resources and downloads. When you access it, you actually also get my 3 steps to lose 5 pounds in 10 days, because the 5 pounds can be so important in terms of your motivation. The first 5 pounds, always the most important, but also it starts to go into detail about carb cycling, gives you access to some of our meal plans and our workouts and things like that. So I'm going to go ahead and drop that link in here. You can access that for free at any time. You get instant access. You just need to give us your name and email, and you can learn more about that. But I'm going to go into more depth there in terms of how to breakfast, what to eat when, and what exercise to do. I even go and show you our first beginner session, what workouts you'd be doing, which you just need 1 bell for, and also the meal plans. If you want to have a look at the meal plans, you get access to the first week of those meal plans as well. So I hope you're going to enjoy that. If you want to find out more, you can go, I'm going to go and put the link up. I haven't done it now because, hey, I'm going to go put the link up on Instagram so you can check the link in my bio, and I'm going to put it underneath this, and we'll send it out in our email newsletter like we do every week. If you want to get involved in our email newsletter, you can just go to our blog page, and the pop-up will give you the opportunity to sign up there, and you'll get all these videos and much more, and recipes and all these lovely things into your inbox every single week. So I hope that was helpful. I'm still fighting with this camera. It's really annoying. I'm going to have to message them and tell them I need a refund, because yeah, it's just, I've got it taped up. That's how bad it is. But anyway, I hope you're going to enjoy your Monday. We will be back at same time next week at 3 p.m. GMT, talking about all things body shape change, specifically for women over 40s, to do with strength training, carb cycling, intermittent fasting, plant-based diet, all these sorts of wonderful things, and I hope to see you then. So in whatever you've got going on today, enjoy, and I look forward to seeing you soon. Peace out.